Beck and welcome to the Animal Crossing book tag. I love Animal Crossing and I've sunk an embarrassing 700 plus hours into the newest game, but let's not talk about that here. I want to get into the 8 questions on this book tag. I'll link all of the stuff that's relevant to this video down below, so let's get into the tag. Straight off the bat, I know that this question immediately isn't for me because it's about classics. It says, question 1, GameCube, a classic that you want to read. I don't really have any classics on my TBR. It's not a category I usually reach for, but I will go with a classic book that has been on my TBR for a while, meaning that it's become classic to me because it's been around on my TBR for so long, rather than it being a classic like Oscar Wilde, for example. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're just going to roll with it. And that book is The Vore by Bryan Caplan. This has been on my reading list for an embarrassingly long time, and it's been on there so long that it's just faded into the distance because I forgot to bring it with me to the new house for my TBR cart. So massive shame on me. I actually think I've forgotten to also bring the Blackhawks as well, but all my stuff is everywhere. So when I'm settled in and I do a new bookshelf tour down the track, I'm sure that everything will settle into place. And then we've got question number 2, which is Wild World, your favorite second book in a series. And really easily for me, this is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, which is the second book in his Stormlight Archive series. I love it so much. And I think we're getting the next book in that series next year, unless it's been pushed out, because I saw murmurs that that might happen. Either way, the Stormlight Archive is absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to reread it all again. Question number 3 is City Folk, your favourite book set in a large city. For me, that would be Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I recently read that one and then the sequel in my August wrap-up and then my September wrap-up. They are behemoths of books, but they have an incredible world-building system set up in them with our protagonist Kieran in this massive city. It's a series that I'm really liking and that's really growing on me, but I just really struggle to read them because they're long. When I sit down to read them, they're written perfectly, so they capture me immediately, but just the length of them and the speed that I read at the moment doesn't really gel. So I've put the series down for now and I'll continue it in a few months, but they are excellent books. They've got an excellent city in them, so they're definitely fitted for this question. Question number 4 is New Leaf, which is best new release you've read recently, and I recently read Lore Olympus Volume 2 and I adored it. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling, and the webcomic is way ahead of the published comic, but I'm only doing the published version for now because I don't want to catch up and then have nothing left. So I'm just reading the published version. So Volume 3 is supposed to be out this month in October, and so I'm hoping that it comes very quickly because I've pre-ordered it. And then I also recently read on audiobook Prayer for the Crown Shy, which is the sequel in Becky Chambers' duology Monk and Robot, and I really enjoyed that. I liked it more than the first book and I gave it 4 stars. And then also on the back of those, I've also read a new release lately on audio as well, and that is The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas. Now I think I read Cemetery Boys this year as well, which is an older release by the author. I don't think it was released this year, but either way, I've enjoyed both of them and I gave them both 4 stars, and that's a pretty decent rating, so I would consider it also for this question. Question 5 is Isabel, a book that has been with you through thick and thin. And I think this might count, but when I went to Japan, I took a copy of Skyward with me, which was pretty silly to bring a physical book on an international flight, but here we are. Question number 6 is Bells, which in Animal Crossing is the currency, and it says a book that's rich with character, which means well fleshed out or developed. And I guess I could count Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne for this one because it is inspired by Norse mythology, but not directly a Norse mythology retelling. And so when I think about that book or when I start reading that book, I just think of Vikings and eating meat and bread. So it really conjures that theme and that vibe of sea salt and just battle fame. So I think that would be very much rich with development in terms of the world building. Question 7 is Pitfall, a book that you wouldn't mind never seeing again. And for me, that would be The Sword of Kaigen. I finished this and gave it 2 stars. I should have honestly DNF'd it, but I thought I'm going to see it through to the end. I don't know if I regret doing that or not. I regret the way that my other reading slowed down while I did it, but I'm also glad that I finished it because that only turned sour for me in the last chunk of it. And so if I'd put it down earlier, I would have thought, oh, I put down a 4-star book, that makes no sense. So I guess I kind of am glad that I finished it. And then later during the year, I will have a video to recap all of the books that I've DNF'd this year because I have put a list together. So I guess look forward to that because I'm very salty that pretty much every month I have DNF'd a book. And then question number 8 on this tag, which is the final question. I feel like this is a bookended tag for things that I don't really read because the last question is your favorite history or historical fiction book, and I don't really read those. So I'll go with a book instead that I feel like I read ages ago or reread ages ago, and that would be Golden Son by Pierce Brown. I did do a reread this year, so I don't know how much that counts, but maybe I should go with Becky Chambers because I feel like it's been 4 or 5 years since I read A Closed and Common Orbit. So, historical. That's what I'm going with. If you have not done this tag, consider yourself tagged. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below if you play Animal Crossing, especially New Horizons. I would love to know because I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan. But thank you again so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the comments and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.